Alright, hello everyone. This is DayTraderRockStar, and I've just gotten back from my vacation. It's about September, it looks like September 7th, Labor Day. And just about ready to put out 10 for 1,000 watch list for this week, but I noticed in my scans that I was noticing some great setups based on the 200 period moving average, so I figured I'd throw a video out there describing how I look for some stocks setting up off the 200 period moving average as a prerequisite to the watch list, so you can get an idea of how I find some of these. 200 period moving average, basically, I use three moving averages: the 20 moving average, the 50, and the 200, and they're all exponential moving averages, meaning that they're weighted. They put more weight towards the more recent price, so they actually move faster with the markets, and they don't as much lag, even though they do lag, but they don't lag as much. So I use the exponential moving average and a basic 200, 50, and 20 period moving average. Now, my own thoughts of the moving averages, I think they're great. I think they're great because trading is based on crowds, mass crowds moving into a stock, moving a stock, buying volume. Volume is all about the amount of shares being bought and sold. So you need that volume, and you need the people coming into the market at certain times. And the moving average is basically an indicator that a lot of traders, professional traders, not so much investors or people, mom and pops out there, but traders are out there like you and me, are watching the markets and looking for that edge. And anytime you get an edge or something that could be an edge, people are going to follow that. And not to say it's right or wrong, it's just the nature of the beast. We are all looking for that holy grail of trading. And never to mention holy grail with trading, because there's nothing out there that's going to help you. But if you get you learn about some of the concepts and stuff, they're going to give you a great advantage versus other people who are not aware of it. So the 200 period moving average is probably the longest, the longest of the moving averages based on 200 previous prices. So it takes the longest to form, and also probably most likely has the most important effect, or the most stable effect, or the most reliable move off the 200 period moving average, because it's the strongest moving average. You'll get a lot of mixed signals off the 20, and you'll have a few more off the 50, but each time the price level comes up to the 200 period moving average, there's a good chance that the crowd is going to come in and react off of that level. It's the good side or the bad side. All right, so I've been looking for stocks that have been approaching in this market, since the last 2 years. We've pretty much been in a downtrend, and recently, since last March, we've actually been bouncing up and moving up in a nice little uptrend here. The overall markets are over the 200 period moving average. When I say the overall markets, I want to take a look at the SPX here, the S&P 500, and bring this up here. You can see the 200 period moving average here, which is in purple here. Back here in May, the S&P 500 ran right into this area, and we ran right up into this area and pushed off of it, and then we moved back up to it and broke through it. So now we're above it, and the 200 period moving average is a very, very big indicator for the overall market health. They say if we're above the 200 period moving average, the market's healthy. So the overall markets is over the 200 period moving average. So now we have the stocks that are not are still under the 200 period moving average, which we're looking for, because once the price moves above the 200 period moving average, it becomes a different type of trading vehicle. So you want to look at what I look for is the stocks that are approaching the 200 period moving average are usually sometimes above the 50 period moving average, sometimes above the 20 period moving average. But what I want to see is at least one test on that 200, or an approach on the 200, and then a pullback, because I know as we approach that 200 period moving average, that average is going to act as a tractor beam for the price level, and that price is going to get sucked up to that level. And then from there, we're going to get some pullbacks, and then we can really establish a good trading game, or a trade setup based on that average. So let's just take a look at some of the examples of some of the stocks that have reacted off the 20 period moving average. I just wrote a few of these down just to go over them fast. Here's Onyx Pharmaceutical. As you can see here, we pushed up to the 200 period moving average, bounced off, and then we consolidated here and we blew up right above that. Is that coincidence? News? Everything was perfect setup. But what's more important, on the retest of the 200 coming back down, you can see the 200 period moving average actually holding up. So the trend is different here. ACL here, Alcon here. Again, this one is just very bullish. And once it broke through the 200 period moving average, we never really came back and tested it and just continued to move up here. Not a good example. Again, just pretty much taking some random stocks here. Google here. If we zoom out, we'll go out a little bit further here. Let's zoom out here. You can see we came up to the 200 period moving average. We hesitated above it, kind of pulled back, but again, pulled back once here in June and July, down towards the 200 period moving average and continued up off of that. Not a great example. Here's some better examples right here. Here's this is some of the characteristics I look for. Here in Joy Global, we have a test of the 200 and a pullback, and then we're holding above the 20 period moving average and the 50 period moving average here, and we come back up there, tested again, pullback, but staying above the 20. It's called the 2200 squeeze, or I talk about the 20 period moving average moving up against the 200 period moving average, and then a blast off from there. As you come back, you can see the market held again the 200 period moving average. So the 200 period moving average and the 20 period moving average underneath us, if you could find a setup like that, do your scan, set your criteria to find the stocks that are trading under the 200, yet above the 20, and not too great of a distance, you'll notice that that's usually a great sign for a break up to the upside. So I'm always on the look for those. And they appear a lot, sometimes they appear together in the market history, and sometimes we've passed those levels. Now we're looking at stocks that are pulling back to the 200 period moving average. All depends on at what point of the timeline that the markets are in. Are they in a bullish trend that's already broken out of? Most of the stocks are broken out of the 200 and pulling back. So that's the stocks. In this case, back at this level, we probably had a lot of stocks setting up at that level, just like that. Pfizer here. Here's another great one where we're right underneath the 200 period moving average, and I want to concentrate on that because I know Pfizer being a big company and a big stock, and that's where my other criteria. It has to be a well-known stock. It can't be a fly-by-night day trading stock where people are just getting on momentum. But I want something with a little decent fundamentals, and yet is a kind of you would say a higher quality stock. Pfizer being one of these. So anytime you have a high quality stock trading under the 200 period moving average, there's a good chance we're going to get sucked up to there, at least test it or break through it. In this case, we broke through it, came back, we held the 200, and we're actually holding it. So actually still a good setup here for Pfizer. So Pfizer is another great example here. Deutsche Telekom, we pushed up against the 200 and we lost it. Finally we broke above it, and now we're holding right on support. So it was actually a great area there to enter a couple days ago last week. And DT, Deutsche Telekom. Costco, did we go over that yet? No, we didn't. Another one where we came up, touched the 200 period moving average, retested it, pulled back, and every time you get a pullback off of good stock, you're going to look for that stock to move back up and finally break above that 200 period moving average. And then Costco, we did that. And you'll notice a lot of these stocks are very well-known companies. They're not stocks that you have to really go online and try to figure out what the heck's going on here. Florida Power and Light. Look at how this one recently broke out of the 200 period moving average here, and now is holding above the 200. So we came up to the 200 here, bounced all around, and finally broke above it. And when we got the pullback, that's also a great area to buy. So you buy on pullbacks, especially above the 200 period moving average. The trend is your friend. Each time we come back to the 200 period moving average, we hold. So in this case, look where we are today. Going into tomorrow, we're pulling back towards that 200 period moving average. So that's another good example. So that's basically the stocks I'm going to be showing you on the 10 for 1,000 watch list today. Stocks that are set up here. A couple examples before I start my new video and send that out. And you can see that on DayTradingRadio.com. Here's Will Brothers Group, WG. Love this setup. Here you have the 200 period moving average being tested once, twice, and we have a pullback. Nice volume today. So everything looks really good on this one. I'm looking for this one to retest that 200 period moving average. And another great setup here, AT&T. Now if we zoom out here, you can see that 200 period moving average really goes back far. So the farther it goes back, the farther you can see it being tested, and now we tested it twice, pulled back. This is a great setup on AT&T. I'm going to give you some other good setups. I got to stop this video now before I run out of time. I'm Day Trader Rockstar. I hope to see you in the markets. Come to daytradingradio.com.